It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Wednesday morning. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and thanks for starting the day off with us. Now, we all know we live in a highly competitive world, and there'll be some wins and there'll be some losses as well. And so as parents, it's very important to help our children navigate through this journey of being good at sport. A topic that's very, very important to me. We're joined in the studio this morning by certified parenting coach Laura Markovitz to offer some guidance on this topic. I love this. It is right up my alley.
This is up your alley, yes.
And something that I thought about, I think, long before my child was even conceived, about what kind of parent I would be and guiding them through a world of competition, knowing that I'm a very competitive person. So when we get things started off then, when we talk about being good at sport, what do you mean by it from a parenting, coaching perspective?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, being good at sport and being a good sport, I think is something to think about, because obviously we want to be skillful and have agility, balance, coordination, speed, and play the game well. But I think if we're being a good sport about it, it's really playing in the spirit of the game, which means we can be good at it, we can have fun at it, and we can play sport with integrity, which means things like helping our opponents up, being able to acknowledge that our opponents played well, being able to acknowledge how we played. And I recently heard a Premier League soccer player talking about what they thought differentiated the good sports from the bad sports. And he was saying, you know, it's really those people who are able to get through a game that's really hard, a game that's going badly, and still be able to pick themselves up and keep going and not be crushed by that sort of thing.
So what would you say is the greater lesson and the importance of trying to teach our children to learn these kinds of behaviors, especially in a very competitive world? What are you trying to teach them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It is competitive out there. Competition's real. You know, we try and protect our kids from it and make sure that you kind of get rewarded just for participating or turning up. But the reality out there in the workplace and beyond is that competition's rife. So we want to be giving them the skills that they're able to be resilient and be able to pick themselves up when things aren't going so well. So to be able to celebrate the wins when they are going well, and then also to manage the difficulties when it's not going so well. And those are important skills out there to keep your humanity together, even with your skills and what you do well and what you don't do so well. But to remember that you've got to be able to get through the wins, but also get through the losses.
I think of myself as a parent. The other day I was thinking that my son hasn't really experienced pain, other than, you know, the odd injection he got. You know, but you look at a picture like we had now, where the kid is sitting there and he's disappointed, and there's hurt, and he didn't do so well. How can dealing with disappointment, or the feeling of disappointment itself, be a good thing for a child to experience?
Well, first of all, I think as parents, to sit here and see a picture like that breaks your heart.
You don't want that.
And it's not something that we want to be seeing. But I think disappointment handled well is an incredible teacher. Disappointment handled badly can be really destructive for a child. But if we are teaching them that they can feel the disappointment, that they can acknowledge it, that we can say, sure, that was really hard. Didn't feel so great that you didn't get into the team that you wanted to. We saw that your friends got in and you didn't. That must be quite hard. To be able to acknowledge it, for them to know that that disappointment doesn't define them. It doesn't make them completely everything of who they are. And for them to know that they can actually get through it, that we can help them with practice, with hard work, with all that sort of stuff, that we can help them get through the disappointment. And that can be an incredible learning, to come out the other side of it and not be completely crushed and taken over by it, but it can be an incredible teacher. So yeah, as much as we want to bubble wrap them, I think it's really important that we help them get through these disappointing moments.
And teaching that the winning comes in getting up after every time you've lost, isn't it? All right. Well, we'll come back again and continue our conversation with our parenting coach, Laura Markovitz, teaching your children to be good at sports, but more importantly, to be good sports. So we're back again with certified parent coach Laura Markovitz, and in today's discussion, how to teach your kids to be good at sport, and more importantly, to be good sports. So in fact, let's recap with that first, Laura, about why it is, what we mean first by teaching your child to be good at sports and why it's so important for them to learn that.
Yeah, because we're saying, you know, well, as much as sporting, we're learning skills like agility, balance, coordination, speed, all that sort of stuff. It's an opportunity to learn really important lessons about navigating the world. So learning how to handle competition, learning how to pick yourself up when things haven't gone so well, opportunities for resilience, being able to help the opponents if they are down, being able to pick yourself up when you're down. So these are really important lessons that go beyond just being an excellent sports person.
Yeah. Now, let's say you so happen to have an excellent and talented child in the sporting field, and they're very competitive as well, they just excel. Can it be a bad thing to encourage that competitive spirit in them?
Absolutely not. You know, I mean, I think competition it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's something that I think a lot of us shy away from, and we want to keep everything equal and fine. But if you've got a child who excels and who loves and is passionate about what they're doing, of course we should be encouraging them.
Yeah.
I think the how we're encouraging them is really important.
Yeah.
So things to think about with the child who is really good as well is remembering our stuff and our experience of sport and not projecting that onto them. So to remember it's about them.
Yeah.
Keeping things varied so that they're not putting absolutely all their eggs into one basket, even if they are a fantastic soccer player, that they get to do other things as well as that.
Yeah.
So keeping things varied, keeping things interesting, and then not getting completely taken over by the competition. So it's not win at all costs. It's not winning and taking everyone down in your path. And it's most importantly not taking yourself down in your path. So it's absolutely great to be encouraging a child who's competitive and who's good at it, but remembering to keep them humble, to keep them humane, and to remember to try and teach them balance so that they really do have a balanced life where they are able to socialize, do other things as well as the sport that they're passionate about.
Yeah. Let's talk about the importance of teaching your children to self-evaluate rather than waiting for feedback to come from an outside stimulus and taking that on as the most important outcome of, you know, let's say a cricket game, a soccer game, whatever, and how that translates then further on into life. How important is it to teach them to self-evaluate, to say, this is how I feel about the outcome and this is how I want to feel about it?
Well, I think as parents, so to come from our perspective, is we've got to remember our role. We're not the coach. We're not the teacher. So to remember that on the sidelines, if that's, you know, the coach is doing exactly. So just to remember to be the parent. And so to give our children the space to self-evaluate, first of all. So when they come off the soccer field or whatever sport they're coming off.
Rugby, whatever.
Thank you for those examples. When they're coming off, to actually ask them, how did you feel about the game? How do you think you played? Because when we are giving our immediate stamp of approval or disapproval, it doesn't actually give them a healthy sense to be able to assess how they are doing. And that's a really important thing in life, for them to know how they feel about it and how they can then work on how they've been doing without me going, why did you play like that? Wow,
it's going to be a hard thing when your kid comes off the cricket pitch and they've just scored a ton for you to not go, oh my word, I'm so proud. Just like, how do you feel it?
So absolutely.
And then afterwards give feedback, I'm so proud of you.
And we're not looking to be contrived and holding back and like, oh, I need to think. So be yourself, be authentic, but just remember to make space for them as well and not just ourselves.
I think those are some great words to close off with, Laura. Thank you very, very much. And I'll take you to a couple of cricket games. I know that you struggle with that a little bit so that you can appreciate the sport of gentlemen. But to all parents out there, and I hope that this was an enlightening conversation with you. If you'd like to link up with Laura a little bit more, you can find at www.coachparents.co.za.